try something different.
Yo, would you go to those niggas for your tax?
fucking sad. Like,
For what?
The ones that did our thing. Would you go back to them for your?
Yeah, you've asked me this like 4 or 5 times. Every time I've said yes.
Like to the point where I didn't want to feel it
see the
anymore.
work is getting better.
Had
So.
Yeah, I know
3
it is.
different like suicide attempts. I've been slitting my wrists for 10 years.
Damn. I just realized what she
I
said.
just don't want to feel
That's
that
fucked.
way anymore. So that's why when I
Yo,
tell
face
my
stats are kind of
story,
crazy.
I don't want to bring up how I've OD'd 10,
I'll low-key get face tats.
13 times.
That's crazy.
I don't want to get into the depths of me hanging myself or trying to drown myself. Because I think the most important part is to just giving background of where I came from so that you can see why I became a drug addict. And then on top of that, like, seeing that people do make it out. Like, it's not like that forever. And I'm just glad that I made it out when I did and realized that I can be happy and I deserve to be happy. Because all that shit that happens is just the outcome of actions, and if I make better actions now, then I know the outcome's gonna be.
He's based in LA, right?
Far better
Cool.
Most of these
than
people
how
are
it
from
used
LA.
to.
Yeah, he's in LA.
I have faith in that.
Attention shoppers, save on your fall routine with thousands of rollbacks.
All right, Izzy, where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
I grew up in Salem, Massachusetts, and I ended up in Rhode Island, so most of my childhood was on the East Coast.
And how was your family?
It was a weird setup. My mom and dad, my dad met
My skin used to get hurt. Wait. Used to hurt getting hit. It don't hurt no more. How can someone attempt suicide 10 times and fail? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's actually true though.
Yeah.
I always wonder that with people that, I mean, well, actually, I think it kind of goes like they spit their wrist or shit, and then someone walks in, sees them, and like calls the feds, and then saves them, and like, you
10
know.
times. Though?
But I feel like if they really wanted to, they would just do it.
Yeah.
Like for real.
Yeah.
Like you
If
would
you
just
really
like,
wanted
if
to
you really
off yourself,
wanted to
you really
off
could.
yourself, like you would just, you know, you'll make sure you die. But it's kind of fucked.
mom in the strip
It's more
club.
like I feel like they want attention, like not in a bad way though. Like they don't get enough of it, and I guess this is the way that they could seek it, which is kind of a bad way to go about it. But
I've
maybe it's the
encountered
only
some
way that they
people
can
do
know. Huh?
Yeah. I've encountered people do that like. throughout
Yeah,
my
like
life.
you know, a lot of people be like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill myself." Like when a nigga's trying to leave them, or like the other way around. Like if a girl's trying to leave them.
Yeah.
Like so many girls have told me this, where a guy would be like, "Yo, I'm gonna kill myself," da da da. So then they have to stay with them, so that they don't or whatever. But like usually it's just for attention, you know. I don't lie. Nigga said just shoot yourself or jump off a mountain. I can't lie.
Before I was born.
That's 100% death rate.
1997.
I mean,
And
Wait, what?
if you jump off
I
a
don't know. My
mountain,
mom says that like I
You're
was
not living,
wanted,
and that's a good
but
way to
she was
go.
living for a few months.
you die like a bird.
And,
You die like a
she
bird.
ended up
Because you die in the
leaving,
air. You won't die before you
when I
you
got
die before you hit the
born,
ground. You know what I mean?
From the shock, too.
Because my
Exactly.
mom stabbed him.
Wait, what?
And he ended up leaving around when I was born.
Oh, her dad.
Because my mom stabbed him.
Of course.
And he just, I don't know. I talked to him about it, and he told me that he was
This girl
just
has
gonna
lover
let me,
tatted on her
let
forehead.
God work it out, and I'll eventually find him. So I grew up with my mom. She was a sex worker for most of my childhood.
Oh shit.
So
she grew up in it. That's what she
it was
became.
like a weird situation. She was very evil, I would say. I was getting abused since I was like 6 years old physically. My first grade picture, I had a black eye and she covered it with makeup that day.
Damn.
Wait, what'd she get a black
I
eye
just
from?
got in trouble
From
for a
getting
lot of
beat
things that
by your
like
mom.
I didn't understand. I don't know how it conspired, but I was a very sexual kid. I can't recall, I don't think anything ever happened to me sexually, but I started having a porn addiction at around 6.
I had 3 black eyes at the age of 5. Shut up, I'm not emo still. Bro,
7
why you think this girl's
years
emo?
I thought you said black guys.
I was,
No black eyes.
obsessed with like woman specifically. I don't know if it was the hyper femininity from my mom, or like, because she was always like the sexy mom. I don't know what it was, but I remember in kindergarten I had a girlfriend, and we used to like make out in the bathroom stalls and like get naked. I've always just been like addicted to women and
Whoa.
sex as a whole.
We're on the same page, sweat.
Around like
I like girls who like girls.
12 was when I started webcamming.
Whoa.
And
what the fuck?
it was just like weird for me because it wasn't something that my mom ever
Of
talked
course.
to me about.
Why would she talk to you about it?
I just, when I was getting like phones and stuff, I would be looking up pictures of naked girls, like masturbating all the time on webcam until they would like kick me off servers.
Whoa.
So I was just always really comfortable with sex and myself. I
Piercing
remember
the
when I was
jacket? What do you mean? That doesn't mean she's emo. That just could be her
my
style, nigga.
mom ended up like getting engaged to this rich dude, and we moved in with him to Rhode Island. That's when I ended up leaving Salem, and that kind of like changed my whole entire life.
Nigga said emo style.
I wasn't around my friends anymore. I was sexually super confused. I liked guys and girls, but I still had that like infatuation with women, and I didn't really know how to express that because as I got older, I was bullied a lot, so I really wasn't able to have that connection like I was when I was younger, and we don't really think about like judging kids and people. I was
She's ugly. No way
self-harming.
people made out with her.
And
Nigga, of course.
when
Nigga, that's what she looks like now. You gotta think about it. When she was younger, she probably looked better than this. Like, no tattoos. Looks younger. Fucking no, like, weird-ass piercings. Probably
moved,
dressed way different.
and that's when I started getting really alternative and into like metal music. I did want friends,
Yo, webcamming at 12
but
was crazy.
everything I
think
did
Crazy
made me
shit.
very unapproachable. So I kind of like singled myself out and didn't really understand why people didn't like me because I love people. I fall in love with like everybody I meet. And
I just realized she has devil horns
I
tatted on her forehead. That shit is crazy.
started smoking weed and drinking when I got there. I used to like drink cough syrup out of like the cabinet when I was younger, but I wasn't like always looking for that high because I was getting the feelings I needed from like the sex kind of stuff. Anything that just makes me feel super in love, just I love that shit. And
Should be making out in
I was
kindergarten
running
while I was
away a
playing
lot.
with sticks thinking it was guns.
when I was in Rhode Island, I remember my mom was in jail for a little bit, so I was alone with this dude. I don't recall him ever being like creepy or weird with me, but it was just awkward because I didn't really know him, and she just had me move in with this dude into a whole nother state. So
Wow.
I was just always, finding older friends that I could go hang out with. And when my mom got back from jail, that's when the abuse started happening again. I mean, constant physical fights.
Her mom did
The
not like
police
her,
knew me
eh?
so well, just as the girl that was always getting in fights with her mom. She quit doing sex work around a little bit after we moved to Rhode Island, but I do remember her still going to the clubs and stuff.
Of course.
I always viewed her little fiance dude as a trick. Now that I'm a little bit older, I mean, I don't really see what there was to love about that whole situation. I remember one time how they broke up was he got really drunk and was standing over my bed naked. And I
What
don't
the
recall
fuck?
She
anything
didn't recall
happening,
any
but
creep?
she just didn't need that in my life.
feel like she's
so
kinda
he
lying,
ended up like
low-key.
kicking us out. and all this shit. It was just like a mess. At around 13, 14 was when I started running away a lot. I had gotten in contact with my dad, but he was still far away. He definitely loved me. It was like he was waiting for me to eventually like reach out. She found him on Facebook and said, your daughter wants to talk to her. So he was like in my life kind of, but he was in Colorado at the time. So I remember on one of my little runaway stints. Now, when I ran away, since I'm like from small cities, I always gravitated towards big ones because I'm like, I can't do anything out here. There's nothing to fucking do. And everybody knows me at this point. Like I'm normally like the one mixed girl. I'm Iranian and Puerto Rican.
Whoa, that's a different type
so
of mix.
So like I was always like the one brown kid
that's
in most situations, and kind of hard to forget. So I remember like taking buses to Providence to take a train to Boston to take another train to New York.
Damn, this is a hard one.
Yeah, I would just disappear. I would let my mom know, hey, I'm leaving, throw my SIM card out, and I would just be out on the streets, and I'd just come back when I came back.
Not to this level.
Each time was a little different.
And sex work, actually, maybe.
I used my body to get around places.
Kind of hard.
I'd lie about my age, but people knew who like, when you're 14, you can't really pass for much than 14. I got a boob job right now. Like, I was flat-chested. I have a baby face. So, I mean, but it didn't really bother me. My mom supported me like that.
Wow.
Like, just being hot. So I figured 14. As long as I look good, you know, I was the one girl on the streets. I'd have my straightener, my makeup, and, like, a bunch of hoochie mama outfits. And it worked. I definitely... I was okay. I was on the streets a lot, but I'd always find a way to get into someone's apartment and have a place to stay for a little bit, and until I got tired of the runs, and then I'd just come back home, and I don't know, my mom stopped really worrying about me. I was, whenever there was like a report for me missing, it wasn't because she reported it. She knew I'd always end up back home, and there was nothing she could really do about it. And then when I was like 15, just turning 16, I met this dude who was like 10 years older than me, and I was in love with him.
10?
Happens, bro.
I ended up moving into his apartment pretty quickly. His friends knew how old I was. I used to brag. I'd be like, I just turned 16. Like, that was like any better. Being with somebody who was like 25, 26.
Crazy.
So
crazy.
He took care of me. And
He groomed you, nigga.
Literally.
like I said, I'm a lover. And my idea of loving someone is being able to provide for them. And I wasn't really able to do that at the time. I had fucked up school. I never went. And so it was hard for me to get jobs and such. So I started posting ads. I mean, on the streets it was different when you're just like meeting up with people, but this is when I started putting myself out there. I was doing pet play, where you, to my knowledge, when I was a teen, I got into it because it was cute. You wear little cat ears and like butt plugs, and you pretend you're a cat. Now I'm like a big anime fan. So I didn't see the problem with this, and I didn't understand the underlying kink behind it. At this time, I was drinking, and I was smoking weed.
My dad just went right past the door
But
to
I
my
really
room,
wasn't
and it
into
was
like
open. If he just
heavy
looked to the left, I would
drugs
have
like
been
that.
unalive. I wouldn't be alive right
And
now. Dude.
he didn't know what I was doing. I would just say I'm gone and come back the next day with money, and I wouldn't really I honestly don't even remember
how you in
my
love with the man,
excuses for it.
and then you're going out
I had money.
fucking other men. How does
I
that
don't
work?
know.
Well, you're good, gang. You're tweaking. You're good.
Now, when I started, my first thing with meth was when I was seeing this dude. He was very rich, and I knew his name because he was like kind of a high-profile client, as they would call them. And I remember walking into this big-ass house, and I felt safe because I'm like, well, somebody with a name and with that has this kind of publicity, like, they can't really afford to fuck me over, and I wasn't really ever scared of people. I mean, as long as I got paid and I didn't get, like, physically hurt, it really didn't bother me what was going on.
That's why they do it.
And I remember this cute dog, and I was like petting him while we were talking for a little bit, and I was getting dressed. And then he told me that he likes to use meth to have fun. And I was like, okay, whatever.
Oh, God, I'm not good. Before I came, you beat me up because I wasn't asleep, and now you see me with the laptop. Well, you're good, bro.
Guess I've just always been adventurous. I was always one of those kids that would say, yeah, I'll try any drug. So I just did it. And he put me in this little cage. And that was normal in a pet play scenario, you know, like cage, bowl, things, being on 4 knees, crawling around. But then he had his dog go in the cage with me. And I remember I went in on a Tuesday, and he would just keep giving me meth and having his dog rape me. And, like, it's not something I really enjoyed, but when you're spun the fuck out,
how do you make the
you don't
dog
really,
rape you since Tuesday?
I was grateful for it.
What?
You know, I was grateful for the meth, because whatever mind state I was in or what I was feeling was probably better than being sober.
Yo,
that's insane.
So
that's insane, Jarvis.
He let me out after like
Jesus
a little
Christ.
over 3-4 days. I remember he said I work on the weekends, and he gave me like
Tuesday to Saturday,
like $4,000 or something.
Give her
and
$4,000.
I didn't even want to put up a fight. I mean, I was glad I was out. Looking back, I should have demanded way more money. I should have done something. I could have taken the money, and I could have still reported him, but like I did not give a fuck. I just wanted to leave. And then that's when I remember going back to that boyfriend's house, and he caught me. He like looked through my phone. I remember I brought back coffee, and I kissed him, and I was like, "Hey, I'm back."
Oh my God.
And
after all of that, she kissed him.
I left to go shopping, and he looked through my phone, and he saw all my ads. And that's when he told my mom, and he told like the whole town that I was a hooker.
I'll do that to mom.
Of course. I'm like, yo, this bitch is a whore.
Treesh.
Whore.
Advertisement.
Yeah, advertisement's crazy.
My mom's house, and she had the pictures of the ads, and she didn't even say anything. This is the woman who beat my ass for not cleaning my room, beat my ass for not coming home on time, beat my ass for anything. Me having an attitude, and
Wait, pause.
she was kind of like shrugged. She was like,
she expects a nigga to go back in there after a dog has been in there like swimwear for 4 days straight?
Damn, that's what she was trying to do. If he didn't find out, that's what would have happened, for sure.
"Are you okay?"
This guy said that. I'm not freestyling shit.
I was like, "Yeah, I'm good." So, like, there was this thing in my head that, like, it was okay. It was okay. I was a sex worker. And part of me maybe even felt like, I followed in Mom's footsteps.
Crazy.
Maybe
Crazy
that's why
statement.
she doesn't,
Crazy.
How the fuck can you blame me? I saw how she provided for me, so that's how I provided for myself and people that I loved.
Crazy.
From there, my childhood gets a little splotchy. I
can't believe she's
ran
still a
away
kid
a
at
million
this.
times after that, living in crack houses, and I did eventually run away to my dad's place in Colorado.
Pretty girl living in crack houses.
He tried to get me into
About
school
1,000
over there,
bodies.
but this is the man. I've been dying to live with him. I've been wanting to be in his life so bad, and I finally get the fucking opportunity to, and
Not what you expect.
and I ran away. Because he felt more like a friend and not a father. I never even had a father to know, like, how one is supposed to be. He was supportive. He didn't care about, like, anything going on, like what I did. He just was glad I was in his life, and I ran away to go be on the streets.
For what?
Um,
You can tell she regrets that.
no, I just-
Stupid as fuck.
I remember skipping school and him riding his bike around my school and finding me, like, smoking fucking K2 that we got from the gas
Oh
station.
my god.
Um,
K2 outside of jail is
just,
crazy.
like,
Nah, this girl was a
being
drug
high.
addict for real. You know what K2 is? K2 is serious.
And yeah, sex work
It's a
was-
jail drug. It's
was
not even
the
supposed to be
thing
done
I
outside.
did. I didn't even. I don't really. I don't know where the correlation between me being a sex worker and the and my sex addiction really connects, because sex work always felt like a job and it wasn't really something I enjoyed like that. But I didn't really have a problem with it either. Drugs helped that a lot. I got into meth pretty heavy in my teen years because it's just, I correlated it with safety. I felt safe. You could do anything to me, and I was good. So, that was like my childhood, I guess.
But she definitely does
Also
some more
drugs and
fucked up shit
sex
she just
and
hasn't said.
Street life.
Like, for sure.
She definitely got shitted on.
That's what I was
The drug
thinking.
use continue.
Ate a nigga's piss,
Yeah.
all types of shit. Ate a nigga's butt.
I was never really physically addicted to anything. I mean, I remember when I was younger, they would say, like, don't try meth even once. Like, you get addicted, and they'd show these horrible pictures of people, like, after a few months of use. But I would go on, like, binges, and then I would just drop it. I mean, it was really hard for a teenager to get meth. As, like, I don't know, maybe it was just where I was looking, but I kind of just did whatever, but I was never physically addicted to anything, but I did always need to be fucked up. When I was 18, that's when I got into porn, and they flew me out to Florida, and I had a rule. I would never get fucked up on camera, because I didn't want people to see me like that. I know how embarrassing I am when I'm fucked up, so I would just do drugs and alcohol any time between. I mean, I was casually doing heroin, dropping it, doing something else, did a lot of coke, Molly. I fucking loved Molly. I would do that shit for weeks until I would get clean off of it, and then I'd have, like, such bad headaches I would fucking black out every once in a while. I don't know.
Yo,
It's just
this shit is crazy.
acid.
I always wonder how these
Nothing
people's
major,
bodies
though.
handle all this.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
And she's
The extent they take
small.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so throughout porn and being with sugar daddies all the time, I was always fucked up. That's just how I lived my life: sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and I owned that shit. I always knew I had a problem using, and when I started doing meth and heroin, it was regular. I did fentanyl here and there, but it was never really, like, that fucking bad. Like, I would actually do it once, and I'd be like, okay, that was cool, and then I would, like, kind of forget about it. It wasn't something I always seeked out, because I liked uppers. I didn't like feeling down and in my feelings and depressed.
She like that Molly shit.
My fentanyl addiction started about 2 years ago.
Fentanyl? Oh my god. 2 years ago.
When I met this dude,
So she's still doing drugs.
Yeah, she said
and
that's what the guy asked.
the moment that I saw him, I was like, yeah, I definitely want to be with him. He's all tatted up, and I always, like, was with, like, emo boys, alternative boys. I never really.
Yo, this
since
guy
I've
was
been,
right. This guy Troy was right. She is emo and she likes emo. Oh
LA,
shit.
I wasn't really around gangbangers
Well, fuck,
except
gang,
for when I
you're
was in the
right.
streets in New York, and I fucking hated them. They were so mean, and I didn't really like
Oh boy.
the shit that they made me do because I was like, you know, it was always just money-based shit. If I wasn't helping make money, then it just wasn't it. And I wanted to be in love, so I remember meeting this dude, and he hit me up after he saw me at a party. He said, when can I see you? And I said, I'm yours whenever you want me. And
Little freak ass bitch.
we hooked up the next day. He told me when we were fucking, I want to have a baby with you. I want you to, and I want you to be my wife and all this shit. And I said, bet. Got you. See,
that's literally all the whores waiting for. I'm telling you. And they'll dead try to be loyal to
and
you.
he
But
always
then,
used to tell
that
me,
shit ain't
like,
gonna
these are
last.
the real ones. We don't do fake shit. And I was like, okay, whatever. So, I don't know. We were smoking them, and I didn't really get the physical addiction too bad. And then he got locked up, and I lost my shit. I need to be with the person that I'm with, like, all the time. I need to be able to see you, like, whenever. So him being gone kind of just broke me down, and I just wanted to be closer to him some way, somehow, so I just started doing what he did and smoking 30s all the time. Now, I didn't have his plug. I didn't want to ask him for it, so I was doing fake
emo
pills.
does drugs.
And I like them more. I like those way more. I got way higher, and yeah, I ended up leaving and going to. This was when I was.
How
in
hasn't she
Cali,
had an
and I ended
overdose
up
yet? I haven't
eventually
heard her talk
leaving
about an
in the middle
overdose
of him
yet.
being in jail, and going to Vegas, and then that's when I started getting like really good fucking fentanyl pills, and it was from there. I mean, I knew I was addicted. I'd be getting sick when I wasn't on them, but I couldn't stop. And this was the first time I was physically addicted to something. I didn't understand, like, withdrawals. I didn't. And then, yeah,
Fentanyl
when he
fucked her
got
shit
out,
up.
I had tried going to treatment last year, and I
Last
didn't
year.
last more than, like, 5 days. I was like, oh, man, if I get high now, I can just stop after a day, and, you know, I've tried to get clean repeatedly over the past couple years, but I couldn't do it. I always replaced it with some sort of substance. So
This girl can't just live in the real
I was
world,
getting
bro.
pissed because of my addiction. I couldn't even get high off heroin. The fentanyl was
Dog.
way stronger.
That's crazy.
So
Yo. You know what stronger tolerance would have to be for that?
built?
Oh my god. Tolerance would kill
that's when I
us.
started binging on meth a
Especially-
lot because it was
my
just the
God.
complete opposite of a nod. Stay up for like
4 or 5 days.
days, weeks. At one point, I was in psychosis, so I ended up omitting the drugs, like the meth. But my brain was so
God, if
fucked
I saw
up.
her
I
on
was
the
going
street
through
alone at
psychosis
night,
for
I
like
would think
2,
she's either a
3 more
demon or
months
a witch.
after I got off the meth,
Lying.
and I was prescribed
me.
pills for that.
Especially if she's off the shits.
It was a fucking mess. My mental health was already. I've had depression and anxiety. I was in mental hospitals as a teenager for cutting and stuff, and they were always putting me on pills that I never fucking took. I always said they didn't fucking work, but and I believe that now. It's because my circumstances made me depressed and anxious. Being on the streets, hating myself. I feel like my mom fucking hates me. So that's why this time around I'm not on meds. I feel a lot better. I learned how to work through things. I got actually clean. I'm 107 days clean. That's when I went into treatment. That was the last time I did anything. Went into a 30-day
like
program and continued my treatment. It's different, you know. This is my first time in 10 years of addiction, being completely clean off everything, not taking any medications. It's a lot of fucking work. I do a 12-step program. I'm an intensive outpatient. I don't know what's working, so I don't want to stop anything because I don't have another run in me. A lot of my friends kind of just, like, they knew me as a drug addict and they accepted me for that, but then when they saw how bad I was, they just kind of drifted off and never really told me why. And as somebody who, like, craves connection, that shit always just was the biggest mind fuck to
What
me.
sound? It's my sister
I was
and
a
my
really
cousin.
good friend.
I'm
It's
glad
like
as
my
hell.
problems has nothing to do with you. Why I smoke and do all these things. But you know, it's a lot better now. I'm happy. I want to help other women. I really want to help, like, teen sex workers. I have nothing against sex work. There's some badass bitches that do that shit and they rock it. But I know there's girls like me who just kind of end up doing it, and you get so locked on that financial security and feeling like you're never going to make as much money as you do when you're selling pussy. And that's just, maybe that is the truth, I don't know. But I'm my happiest right now, making zero money, working on myself, working on the art and reading. Like, I have so many things that I loved doing as a kid that I just stopped doing. So, you know, making fucking clothes. I want to provide those kind of opportunities for girls that are in my position. I care about all addicts, but I feel like when you have a background of sex work, it kind of gets stigmatized. I remember hearing somebody that saw me in treatment, they ended up saying about me, like, oh, she's going to end up right back on the streets. She made too much money. She's not going to want to work in treatment. And I laughed when I heard that. Like, if I cared about money, I'd still be doing that. I want peace of mind. I want to wake up and not be sick.
Facts.
So I definitely just see myself working in treatment so that I can just pass along what I know now with all the knowledge I do, with no judgment. Because sex workers are fucking amazing. The women who feel like, you know, all I need is me. Like, that's some powerful shit. But I just think that there's so many better opportunities, and when drugs get wrapped into it, I know, at least for me, maybe if I was sober, I would have been so uncomfortable in the situation, like, all the situations that I have been in, I wouldn't have even continued doing it as long as I have.
Nigga said whatever. Trust, after this video, she gonna take some meth.
Sex worker at 15 years old.
You're fucked.
It was a combination of a sex addiction, feeling like I wasn't wanted, not even wanting to be home, and I need to provide for myself somehow. Like, there's always some underlying thing with these things that we do that we don't understand why at first. So, I don't know, just taking it one day at a time. Try not to future trip too much.
Izzy, what would you say is the most important lesson you've learned in all of this?
Forgiveness. Forgiving others for being sick, forgiving yourself for being sick. I just don't see how I'd be able to make it through this without being able to forgive myself for all the things I've done, the manipulation I've done against men so that I could take care of myself and other people. Forgiving myself for my childhood self. For just jumping to conclusions that I wasn't loved, when now I understand, like, my mom had so much going on in her life, I could see why it was hard to deal with me. I think that's the most important thing, because we can't, like, dread over stuff that's been happening, and I don't, because of my addiction, I understand that there's so much more going on than just what meets the eye. So, yeah.
Wow.
Izzy, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you for letting me share.
And I wish you the best of luck from here.
Thank you.
Good luck with rehab.
Thank you.
That was good. It was actually good. I ain't gonna lie. That was mad informational. You know what I mean? Her life is crazy. Like, Bro, people have some crazy lives, bro. Shit you never would expect or think of. Like, that was wild. This girl started selling herself, or she started doing webcamming at like what, 10 or 12?
12.
Can't remember. 12. Then she started selling her body to niggas, sleeping on the street, and getting it any way she can. Then she started doing that pet shit, where she would walk around with bunny ears on and a butt plug. At 16. Then she got trapped in that cage where the nigga was giving her, feeding her meth, all types of
4
shit,
days
while she
straight.
getting fucked by a dog.
4 days.
Nigga said it's her fault still. She been talking for 32 minutes straight. Even the screen went black. They're tired of your shit. This nigga kills you. Oh my god. Let me see. I want to take a piss. Alright, let me end this.